this interest in the body extends to the level of plastic surgery that is actually...
Yeah, this is even weirder, really. So, you know, plastic surgery, Brazil's a bit of a capital for plastic surgery. It's got a, you know, if you look at the number of treatments, you know, just sort of pure numbers, it's, I think, 2010, there were 1,590,000 plastic surgery treatments in Brazil. Now, that's the second highest number in the world. Now, you know, Brazil's a populous country, so it's not perhaps too surprising. It's a big market, but, you know, it's also quite a poor country by comparison with the United States, which is the biggest. And there's a tremendous propensity for Brazilians to do plastic surgery. Brazilian women, middle-class women, it's almost an obsession. You know, it's rarer to find women who've not done plastic surgery than women who do it. We did a survey at Brazil Confidential, and we found that, you know, something like half our sample of 1,500 men and women would do plastic surgery, said they would do plastic surgery for aesthetic purposes, which is an extraordinarily high number. And I think gives you an idea of how widespread and acceptable plastic surgery is.
But it's both men and women, isn't it?
Men and women. A third of all treatments, most recent figures, are by men. You know, men have their eyes done, have bags removed from under their eyes. That's the most common treatment. You know, breast augmentation is probably and liposuction are the most common treatments for women. And you know, it's become much more widespread amongst less well-off Brazilians. So, you know, 20 years ago, it was de rigueur for, you know, the kind of wealthy Brazilians to have plastic surgery, so that if people were overweight or looked a bit, you know, worn out or whatever, they had to have plastic surgery, you know, much as if they got bad teeth, you know, in Europe, you know, you have to get them.
It's socially acceptable as well.
Very much socially acceptable, to the extent that people are very happy to talk about it. People very happy to, you know, sort of, you know, we did a piece of the Financial Times quite recently about this, and, you know, no problem finding people to talk about their plastic surgery in you know, plenty of detail too. You know, it was not something that they were going to hide. So that's kind of interesting. But it's but what's this trend we found recently for less well-off people to not only aspire to it but also to do it. And what's made that possible to some extent is credit. So people borrow. It's much easier to borrow to finance these operations that can, you know, typically cost, you know, $4,000-$5,000. Quite a lot of money for a household that, you know, might have, you know, typical Class C households, this new consumer class, you know, between $1,000 and $3,000 a month in income. So they, you know, it's a big expenditure to.
And why has plastic surgery come down in price?
Well, I mean, you know, one of the reasons is that, you know, treatments have just become slicker and faster, and people aren't hospitalised typically now. They do it, you know, in a clinic and so on. There are questionable procedures are used now. I mean, people there's a liquid form of silicone that's injected. It's not perhaps recommended. Very controversial, but it's poorer Brazilians do these treatments. The average age of Brazilians who do plastic surgery is going down. I suppose rather worryingly, really. You know, getting
younger and younger.
Young women getting breast reduction, augmentation operations. You know, breast.
You were saying that the body image had changed.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of another quite surprising element of Brazil. I mean, in the past, Brazilian women have generally favoured smaller breasts than European or American women, and bigger bums. Now that's kind of changed slightly in the sense that women now prefer bigger breasts, and so the body type they aspire to is the you know, the hourglass figure. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. And so that's kind of interesting. So, but you know, this has become, you know, almost, as I say, an obsession really in Brazil. I mean, it's really widespread, and Brazil also sees its plastic surgery industry as a source of national pride. You know, so there's a guy called Ivo Pitanguy who is very well known in Brazil for his writing and his his discourses on plastic surgery, which he sees as he has a very philosophical view of it. He sees plastic surgery as a means to secure self-esteem. He's described himself as a psychologist with a knife, he's become a member of admitted into the Brazilian Academy of Arts, as Academy of Letters, as his writing has become so famous. He's known locally as the Pope of plastic surgery. Someone who's perhaps one of the most famous plastic surgeons in the world, and around him a whole cadre of plastic surgeons have developed their careers and built up Brazil's plastic surgery brand.